Welcome to Pokémon Champion Chat, where top trainers reunite to relive their legendary battles, break down the action, and reveal the strategies that shaped the game.
My name's Chip Richey. I'm a Pokemon trading card game commentator, and I am pleased today to be joined by two champions. We have Riley McKay, the 2025 Pokemon TCG World Champion, and Isaiah Bradner, our North American International Champion. We're going to be looking at a match that you guys played against one another at the World Championships this year, but you got a little bit more background. You guys did play at the North American Internationals Finals not too long ago. Isaiah, you did come out the victor there. And I want to start things off here by just talking about what it takes to become a champion. You know, the work that goes into it. It's more than just the gameplay of the tournament, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, becoming a champion and doing well at any Pokemon tournament is, for most people, a long process. It takes a while. I mean, you have to know a lot more than the rules of the game or just the decks that are good. You really want to play a lot. I mean, what people don't see whenever you see people winning tournaments is all the time that they take outside of tournaments. And me and Riley were just talking a few minutes ago about how preparing is actually probably my favorite part of playing Pokemon. Just getting ready for the tournaments, thinking of all the new decks, looking at the meta, trying to make the best deck that I can, learning all the matchups, perfecting it, all of that time that you spend, whether it's playing online or playing against your friends. I mean, that's just so valuable, and that's really what goes into becoming a champion, and that's, you know, you don't always see that when you're playing.
Yeah, what piece of that preparation is the most enjoyable to you? The, like, looking through the cards, the working with your friends?
I really like making decks. That's my favorite thing. The thing that gets me, like, the most excited or the most pumped up is whenever I think that I found a deck that could be the new best thing, breaking the format some way. So I think that's my personal favorite part, but I always love playing with my friends, you know, in any capacity, so that's also good.
Just to build on what Isaiah said about, like, how it takes a lot of time to get to those championship wins. For me, I played around 10 years, but I haven't been well known until like the last 2 months. And that just goes to show that you can go a very long time without having these great results, but they will come eventually if you just keep improving, keep focusing on getting better at the game, look at what the top players are doing. As long as you're putting in the work, it will come out eventually and you'll get back on what you get.
Yeah, and I think one thing that really helped me whenever I was first getting into the game, and it's even more applicable now, is I watched a lot of streams. I think I've said this like so many times on any different platform. Anyone asks me like, well, how did you become good at Pokemon? I spent a lot of time watching streams on YouTube. I watched like so many games because it's just such a great way to get better, right? I mean, you have like some of the best players in the world literally showing you how they want to play the matchup right in front of them. You have commentators who are helping you, you know, learn the ins and outs of the game. So I think that that's a really underrated way to get better at the game. It's just like watching any good player play. And now we have, you know, some of the best players in the world that stream almost every day, right? So it's just amazing. We have so many resources to get better.
You talk about those early days. Tell us about how you got into the game. How did you start to become a Pokemon trading card game player?
For me, just one of my friends took me to some local store. We both bought a pack and then we just opened our packs. So that inspired me to join the competitive scene and try to make it to Worlds.
For me, I always loved playing games as a kid, and my friends had these cards. I didn't know anything about them. I was just looking at these like random like pictures of animals on cards. And they told me it was a game, and I was really interested. And they taught me how to play. My friend Luke, I remember he like taught me how to play on his kitchen table, and he was like trying to get us with prize cards, and I really didn't want him to take any of my cards, so I was like, no, let's not play with prize cards. But then he explained what the prize cards were, and that's kind of how I got started playing, just with my friends around the like in their homes. And then I learned there was a competitive circuit. I started watching some videos online, went to a league. I guess it's not a league cup, it's a cities. Back in the day, I went to a regionals, did okay at the regionals, and then my dad kept taking me to tournaments, and it kind of just took off from there.
Do you have any special memories from early days tournaments in your playing career?
For me, when I played my first tournament, I didn't have any sleeves on my deck. So I think that's pretty funny. The judge had to like come in the middle of the tournament and tell me to re-sleeve. I think that's just a funny moment. Also, I think everyone has fond memories of their first tournament, especially if they just enjoy where it's taken them from there.
Yeah, definitely gonna piggyback off that. My first cities, I was playing Mega Rayquaza. I was really hyped, right? I like had all this hype going into this tournament. I had been like practicing like against my parents, and I was like watching all these videos. And then in round 2, I was playing against this guy playing a Raichu deck, which hit me for weakness, and so it like already wasn't going well. And then I evolved the wrong Mega Rayquaza. There was a Mega Rayquaza that had 3 energies, or like a Rayquaza that had 3, and a Rayquaza that had 0. And then I evolved the one with 0, and I couldn't attack, and I was like so sad. So I remember that, and then I also, at my first regionals, I played against one of my good friends, John Eng, in top 8, and so that was a really cool memory to be able to play a player that I looked up to and then be able to beat him in one of those first tournaments. So those are some memories that I look back on.
You've come a long way since those first initial tournaments, right? And I imagine your preparation is a lot different now than it was back then. Do you have any sort of good luck charms, any sort of pre-tournament rituals that you go through in order to get ready for an event?
Yeah, for me, I listened to this one song, Thick of It. I listened to it once and I did pretty good at this tournament, and now it's just a ritual for me. I gotta do it every time. The song released like a year ago, and I've probably listened to it like 3,000 times or something since then. And like probably like a couple hundred of those like every week before a tournament.
Wow, so you do it like the weeks before the tournament. It's not
Yeah,
just at
yeah.
the tournament. Oh, it gets you in the mindset?
No. Yeah,
Like-
it's like I'm not preparing for a tournament properly if I'm not listening to
Okay.
it.
Well,
So
why that song specifically?
I took a little break. I think it was like 2023, 2024. And then when I decided to come back last year, I was having a little bit of trouble making it to day 2 and just performing the way I used to. And there was one tournament where we just listened to Thick of It a lot on the ride up, and that tournament went a lot better. I made day 2, played properly, and I've just listened to it ever since.
Yeah, for me, I don't have too many pre-match things. The biggest thing that I do is I always talk to my parents before the match. I call my mom or dad, and then we pray about the next match. I think that's the big thing that comes to mind. Similar to Riley, I also have, depending on the tournament, there will be a song or an album that I'm really into that I'll be listening to. So I listen to a lot of Taylor Swift. But other than that, just like random music will definitely be a part of my pregame stuff.
So you guys faced off at the finals of North American Internationals. It was a really exciting game. Isaiah, you did come out on top. One of the interesting things about that game as well is that it was a mirror match. I think a lot of people get not super excited to watch a mirror match play out, but Gardevoir specifically, I feel like there's a lot of really interesting and intricate things. Do you guys have any memories of that final game?
Yeah, well, for me, it was the first finals I've ever played in. Even back in seniors, I made it to top 8 a couple times, but I always had trouble getting past that point. Whether I just like hit a really strong player or had a bad matchup, it just never seemed to work out. So getting to finals was amazing, and being able to play on stream, it was an amazing experience. It was definitely a little scary as well, especially because I think I got a little lucky to get to that point, and I don't know. When there's that many people watching you, it's just hard to make the right play all the time. I did make finals at Worlds like 2 months later or so, and I think getting to play the NAIC finals set me up for success playing in the arena. I probably wouldn't have played nearly as well if I didn't have like prior experience to that event. So I'm very grateful for getting to play against a good player like Isaiah in just such a high stakes place. I think it's helped me improve a lot as a player, and I'm really grateful for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have so many memories of that match. It's kind of interesting. I have like a lot of memories, but also a lot of it's a blur. Like I can remember like walking on the stage, and like I remember like some moments like in the middle of the match or towards the end of the match, but a lot of it is a blur. Similar to Riley, I was really nervous on the stage. I think one thing that got to me, it always gets to me, is like, or I try to not let it get to me, but it got to me a little bit in the finals, was like how big the moment was, right? Like I'm in the finals of NAIC, a tournament that means a lot to me, means a lot to any competitor, and so I was really nervous about being able to play my best in the moment. I really didn't want to, cost myself in international finals, and so I think that was one thing that was really running through my mind the entire time. But also a lot of good memories. It was a fun match with Riley. We had some good banter, talked before, after.
Sure.
We'd never really talked before then, and so it was cool to get to share that match with him. And so overall, some good memories, but definitely a lot of nervousness with it.
What were some of those things you guys were talking about to kind of settle the nerves there before the game?
I remember Riley asked me if I prepared. Like we were like walking, he was like, "Did you prepare at all?" And I was like, "Yeah, I played a few games." And I was like, "Oh, did you prepare? Did you remember what you said?"
I don't remember exactly, but I know I didn't play any games against
yeah. You were like, "No, yeah, I figured that I wouldn't know what you were gonna do, so there was no point playing anyways." And I thought that was funny. And then we talked a little bit about like our preparation and stuff, and then I don't know, just like laughing at the table, general stuff.
Yeah, it's very different playing like a 3-day event just because you're backstage with your opponent for a while.
Yeah.
And it just like builds a bit of a relationship with them before you actually play the tournament. And I like that a lot because even if you lose, you can feel a little bit happy for your opponent. Also, just piggybacking off of what Isaiah said about like not wanting to mess up in the finals of a tournament. I didn't feel that strongly at NAIC, but like a couple months later at Worlds, I felt really scared there about making a mistake, just because like getting to finals at a tournament like that doesn't happen very often, and you don't want to make a mistake that would like cost you from reaching the dream you've been working for your whole life. So yeah, it's very great, but it's also really scary.
Yeah, and like piggybacking off that, maybe this isn't the case, but like at Worlds you would like been in a finals and like you had like made a mistake, right? Like NAIC was your first time in a finals. Like same thing for NAIC, I had made like big mistakes in finals, right? So like kind of makes sense that once you were in the world scenario and you kind of thought back like, oh, like I wasn't able to play as well last time. You know,
Yeah,
that's always run through my
exactly.
mind once I get to the final stage.
It's hard to break out of the pattern once you kind of get into it.
Yeah. But we did. All good.
Yeah, we
Champions.
did.
Whoop, whoop.
Champions indeed. Well, moving away from NAIC and into the World Championships, there was a bit of a mix-up at Worlds with the format. There's a brand new set of expansions, the Black Bolt and White Flare expansions. And Riley, if I actually have you open this deck box here, tell me what you see inside.
I'm assuming this one is mine, because the
Yeah.
other
Yeah,
one
I
has a
think so.
Jellicent.
So we have here the decks that you each played
tough.
to the World Championships. Your Gardevoir decks, both
Oh, nice.
of you.
They're sorted as well.
They are indeed.
Oh, and they're blinged out.
Yeah.
So I wanted to
So
ask
crazy.
you guys just a little bit about the preparation for Worlds specifically. We talked about general preparation. Talking about Worlds specifically, there's the new expansion legal. How did you go from having so much success at NAIC to making the changes that you did at the World Championships?
Yeah, so going into Worlds, I knew I'd want to play Gardevoir again. Like, if it worked so well in a very similar format, why would I change it up? There was like new cards coming out, Jellicent. There was also Goldango to consider as a matchup. It was still there before, but it wasn't a deck the same way it was at Worlds. Like, it was the most played deck at Worlds. There's no way that
It was
would
like
happen
50%.
before.
It was like so
50%?
Wasn't it?
Okay, it can't be
I
that
don't think it was
high,
50.
right?
wasn't
It was like 20%.
high. Okay, maybe there's a Palkia Worlds where it was 50%. I must have mixed it up.
Okay,
My
that's
bad. It's really
insane.
high.
But yeah, so I knew Jellicent was a thing, and it looked really strong. I mean, item locking your opponent and shutting off the tools as well. There's like basically no way to set up under that. And I knew a lot of people would play that, but I didn't really want to, just because it felt like a totally different deck, not the traditional Gardevoir that I was used to. And I wanted to stick to what had given me success before. This list, it was like Fluttermane, TM Devo. I thought that was like the best way to beat Goldango, just because Technical Machine Devolution devolves all of your opponent's Pokemon. And that's really, really strong against a deck like Goldango that like sets up a lot of different Goldango and can't really function without them.
What about you, Isaiah, for the deck you landed on for Worlds?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time testing some various things. I spent some time trying like Zoroark and Control archetypes that are like kind of more interesting decks that I like didn't have as much time to try before NAIC. My like school ends really close to the start of NAIC, so I couldn't try any ideas. I just kind of had to go right into finding the best meta deck that I could. But for Worlds, I have a little bit more time, so trying all these out of the box ideas. But you know, by the end of the summer, it's like okay, I'm gonna play Gardevoir, and so it's just trying to narrow in on what I think the best Gardevoir variant is. I ended up landing on the Jellicent. I really enjoyed it from the new set. There were a few reasons. We kind of talked a little bit. Me and Riley have like talked a little bit about how. One thing that landed us on Jellicent was it was really big at the start of the summer. The Japanese national tournament had just happened. Jellicent Gardevoir did really well, and everyone kind of picked it up from there. But with that came a lot of hate. All the Goldango decks super hard teched for Jellicent, and Jellicent just wasn't looking to be in a great spot in the meta. And so what happened is Jellicent really fell off the radar. By the time that Worlds came around, everyone had Jellicent in like tier C on their tier list. You know, everyone basically said it was just the worst version of Gardevoir. And that actually put the deck in an amazing spot because whenever people aren't prepared for it, Jellicent is so good. And I think the biggest thing that made me push Jellicent into my deck was that it was really good in the mirrors. And then also I thought that Jellicent was the best against the Goldango decks, kind of regardless of their list. I think that Fluttermane is generally good, but if they have the Scizor, then that can be a little scary, and if they have the Picnic Basket, it can be a little scary. So there were some things I was worried about, but basically no one was playing Iron Bundle, and as long as they didn't, my Jellicent was pretty strong. So I had played a lot with it, felt pretty decent about it, and that's kind of the journey that led me to locking in the Jellicent at the last minute.
Isaiah said that like a lot of people won't have tested against Jellicent a ton just because they wrote it off. That was definitely true for me. When I faced Isaiah, I didn't know what to expect, and I definitely didn't have a lot of testing into it. So yeah, I agree. It was definitely strong for the like knowing how to play the matchup better than your opponent factor.
So you prepared a lot for Worlds, and it pays off for both of you You start off the World Championships at a 1-0 record, kind of a breath of fresh air. You can settle in just a little bit, but then the round 2 pairings go up. You look at your phone, you see who you're up against, and you're playing one another. It's a rematch of the North American International Championship Finals. What was your first thought, Riley, when you saw that pairing?
Well, my first thought was I didn't have to focus on setting up because we're probably going to get streamed. I mean, like, how can they pass that up? Obviously, it's exciting to play against a good player like Isaiah, especially when he just beat me. Maybe I can try to get my revenge on him for that. It's a little unfortunate that we'd have to face this early on in the tournament. But also, Isaiah tests with a lot of other good players, and if I faced him early on, I would probably get a better sense of what these other players are playing. So that was also pretty helpful. Yeah, so it was a little scary facing up against an NAIC champion early on, but also quite exciting.
Yeah, I think for me, whenever I saw the pairings, I was feeling pretty good just because I knew that Riley played the Drifloon, Gardevoir to NAIC, and that's a really good matchup for Jellicent. And so I assumed that he probably just stuck with the same thing because pretty much everyone playing Gardevoir had stuck with that at that point. So I was feeling good. I was excited to get the rematch. I was really excited to kind of build a storyline. Me and Riley had played, I didn't play any locals over the summer, and so for me, it was just 2 matches ago, right? I played my round 1, and then the match before that was against Riley. So there was basically like no time in my competitive games between us playing in NAIC finals and then playing at Worlds. So it was an awesome storyline to develop. I had a lot of fun playing against him last time. So I was excited. I knew it would be a good game. Like you said, knew we were gonna go on stream. So, you know, definitely there's some nerves knowing that you're playing against someone that you know, playing against a good player, right? It's even at the World Championships, right, there are some players that you don't necessarily want to hit. So I wasn't like the most happy to hit Riley in terms of maybe there was an easier matchup out there, but I knew it'd be a good match and I was excited to get into it.
Well, let's go ahead and get into the game that you guys played, Swiss Round 2 at the World Championships. Talk to me about what the conversation looked like as you guys were walking to the stage, as you got backstage, as you got seated at the table, got the headsets on. What were you guys chatting about?
I think we were chatting about what decks we were playing. I know I asked him whether or not we were playing a Gardevoir mirror match, and he said yes.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me he was playing Jellicent, though.
Yeah.
You could have told me that, right?
I did, and I didn't. You didn't tell me you were playing Flutter Mane either, so I don't think.
I started it, though.
Yeah, you did. Well, you found out pretty quickly, but yeah, true. I remember you asked me about what decks you're playing. You asked me, we talked about how much we prepared. Like,
yeah,
we talked about that.
too.
On the walk to backstage, there's not like that much time because I'm like copy pasting the link for the stream to like all my friends and family. So I'm like, watch me. But then once we get like up on stage, it's like, oh, how was your trip here? How was your preparation? You know, are you feeling good? How was your round 1? Stuff like that. So.
Oh yeah, we talked about what we faced round 1. I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember what you faced.
I don't remember what'd you play?
Charizard.
Okay, I played a Goldengo. So some close matchups, I guess, for us. But that's good. I lost round 1 at NAIC, so I was definitely feeling good to get a round 1 win at Worlds and hopefully keep that streak going.
So you obviously, when you're sitting here, didn't know exactly what the contents of each other's deck were, but you had a general idea that, you know, there's some Gardevoirs, Corellias, Rowlets, those type of things included, of course. As things developed, though, Riley, what did you think of Isaiah's list for the weekend?
Well, I think it includes Jellicent, but also keeps a lot of the other cards that make Gardevoir what it is. A lot of the other Jellicent lists, they would go like 10, sometimes even like 15 cards off what the standard Gardevoir list would usually play. So I like that they kept like the fundamentals of what makes the deck really good. But they also just added in some new Jellicent stuff that make the item lock variant really strong. So honestly, I think if you're gonna play Jellicent, that was like one of the best ways to play it. Maybe like add in the air balloon or something,
yeah.
But other than that.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. It was actually like basically how I made this deck Jellicent was like I took the list that we had and then I like cut 2 cards to put in the Jellicent. That's like how I did it. Like I was like, it was a 1/1 Jellicent at first, but then the second Frillish is like so good against Goldengo, you kind of have to play it. So that's kind of like how I made the deck. It's basically like you said, like we had these core of Gardevoir and then we're gonna slide the Jellicent in.
And then Isaiah, what did you think about Riley's build for the weekend? You obviously here are gonna find out very, very quickly that he does have Flutter Mane, as it is the Pokemon that Riley starts with here in this first game.
I was annoyed that there was a Flutter Mane and 4 Monkey Dory and 4 Dark Energy. I really did not want those to be my opponent's deck. It's a lot. Definitely a lot closer of a matchup for me with my Jellicent build than the traditional list, so I was a little bit annoyed at that. But, I mean, overall his list is solid. I think it's one of the better lists for the archetype. I was a bit surprised he didn't have the Turbo Energize in the deck. That's one that's pretty good with like the Flutter Mane, 4 Dark Energy. But otherwise, I mean, I think it was a good list. It does the job well, and he he called the meta exactly right with being able to, beat the Goldengos that showed up. So obviously ended up working out for him, and it's a solid way to play the deck.
Yeah, it's Turbo Energize, a card you played at NAIC.
Yeah.
And you did take a couple of notes from Isaiah for your deck here. You played the 4 Monkey Dories, the 4 Darkness Energies, which he did at NAIC, but no Turbo Energize. Why not?
Well, part of it is I'm just not that great with Turbo Energize compared to a lot of the other cards. Also, I just felt like with 4 Monkey, 4 Dark, you're usually getting those Dark Energy attachments on pretty fast, whether or not you're using TM Energize or not. And a lot of the time you want to use Technical Machine Evolution in the early game instead. So just a mixture of those two things. Also, I think Technical Machine Energize was a little better against Grimmsnarl, and that's like, was that like the main reason you had it in the deck?
Yeah, well, it was also pretty good in the mirror because everyone was playing Shaman, so you needed to establish more Dark Energy. Now there was less Shaman, it wasn't like as important. But yeah, Grimmsnarl and mirror were like probably the 2 biggest reasons. But
there's less Grimmsnarl at Worlds.
Yeah, there's
exactly.
less Grimmsnarl,
Like,
but it has uses in other situations. It's like, I mean, it's basically good in anytime you can use Turbo Energize. It's like pretty solid, right? Like +2 Monkey Dory is good, but yeah, definitely the main reason was Grimmsnarl. So.
Yeah, but I never hit a single Grimmsnarl the entire Worlds run, so
yeah,
it would have been useless there, and I didn't hit any Shamans either.
Yeah.
So I do think it was correct not to play it.
Yeah, it's pretty good against me though, so I would have been scared if you had it, but it's all good.
Yeah, I don't know.
You were happy to see he did not have it. So yeah, the game is getting going here, and Riley, you are the one going first. That means Isaiah did win the flip and chose to go second. Why is going second such a big deal?
Yeah, well, you just set up better that way. The goal with basically every Gardevoir deck is to get Technical Machine Evolutions. Basically, as long as you get that up, you'll be able to start attacking on turn 2. And if you go first, it's just a lot harder to get that play off. Also, it's even better to go second if you're like playing Jellicent or you're playing against Jellicent. Just because like going aggressive turn 2 in that matchup is really bad, and you can get punished very hard for it.
On this first search here, you're obviously checking your prize cards a little bit, formulating your game plan based on your hand, based on what you have available. What were your initial thoughts in this early turn here as you finish it off here?
Well, it looks pretty solid. I got a Dark Energy on one of my Monkey Dory, and I also got a Ralts down, but there's also nothing crazy in there. If I remember correctly, I also did not have a draw supporter in this hand.
That's pretty bad, yeah.
So like, I got the bare minimum, but I didn't get much beyond that. So I'm definitely still in the game, but I'm not overly happy about it.
And Isaiah, on your turn here, you're kicking things off. You've obviously seen Riley get a okay board established to start with. Monkey Dory Dark is probably about the main thing you want in the early turns. Talk to me about your thoughts, what you're checking here in your prize cards, and what you were thinking as you were searching your deck.
Yeah, so I just doing the general prize card check, trying to find out the Pokemon Energy Trainer cards, all the important cards that are prized. I kind of sort out my deck so that I can do a quick sift through, find out what things are prized as fast as possible. But in this moment, I'm just trying to stay focused and prize check because the main thing that's on my mind is how my hand is horrible. There's like, I have no playable cards in my hand. I think I bench 1 Pokemon here and then end up passing it over. And so I'm just trying to stay as calm and collected so I give Riley no hints that my hand is horrible. Like, he's going to see it pretty soon anyways, but I don't need to give him an extra hint. And then at the same time, I'm trying to think about, okay, what's the optimal Pokemon to bench? What am I going to do here? Because even when you have a bad hand, right, you still want to play as best as you can. Because if you make a mistake when you have a bad hand and then lose, right, a game you could have won, you never want that to happen. So getting a Monkey Dory set up, trying to get my board established, and see if I can get a playable hand sometime in the future.
Yeah, you mentioned the Fluttermane being kind of an annoying card for your opponent to play. How does that change what you do in these early turns?
Honestly, it doesn't change too much. It means I shove the Jellicent a little bit less aggressively. A lot of times against the Drifloon build, I can just Evo into Jellicent, retreat into it, and they have a really hard time doing anything. Riley's going to have this Fluttermane here, which he can retreat into, give him the item cards. It means I go for Jellicent a little less aggressively, but I still want to get the Jellicent out. I want to force him to have the Fluttermane on board, which it is on board, and then also force him to get it involved. If he puts it in the active and I can knock it out, then I remove Night Stretcher for the rest of the game. So not too much difference, but maybe a little bit less aggressive with that item lock.
All right, and Riley, right there, you see the Frillish come down on Isaiah's board. What is like the first thought that comes to your head right when you see that?
Yeah, well, it puts me on a timer. As long as the Jellicent is there, and it might get set up soon, I know that I have to set up before that happens. And as a result, I think I Ultra Ball and I get Mew here. Usually you don't want to do that just because it's really bad, it's weak, doesn't draw you that many cards, and like can't really attack that well in this matchup. But I have to do it here just because if not, I'll get item locked and it will be really, really hard to set up from there. if I didn't see the Frillish, I'd probably just hold my hand, maybe bench the Fez, and pass, because I can just go from there and not be item locked. But with the Frillish in there, I'm definitely pressured to set up a lot quicker.
What were your thoughts after seeing Isaiah not play a supporter, not attach an energy card?
To be honest, I might have tunnel visioned there a little bit. I'm happy he didn't do any of that, but I'm also very scared of the Frillish right here. So as you can see, I'm benching the Mew, trying to play all my items like that Ultra Ball as fast as possible. Also establish multiple Gardevoirs, just because if one of my Gardevoirs gets KO'd under item lock, and that's the only one I have, I will basically just lose the game on the spot.
You mentioned the Mew being something that you don't necessarily love having him play. Why is that in this matchup specifically?
Well, sometimes you need extra draw in this matchup, but you'd rather see that from Fez, just because it has more HP, it has more draw. It's just better for all the uses that you would use it for. And Mew is just an inferior version of that. So if you can avoid benching Mew and you can bench Fezandipity EX instead, you always want to do that. Here, Fezandipity, it might not draw me cards until I'm under item lock, and that's the only reason I chose to go against using it.
And Isaiah, that was a pretty quick turn 2 from you, my friend.
Yeah, drawing a pass, still nothing good in the hand, but I'm feeling okay because Riley's board is really bad. I honestly felt pretty good once Riley chose to bench his second Ralts. Like, my hand is still really bad, but his board is also really bad, right? There's a Ralts on it, there's a Mew on it, there's a Curlia on it, and there's a Flutterman on it. So there's 4 Pokemon that aren't Munkidori or Screamtail on the board, which means that unless Riley plays Turo, he's locked out of 3 Munkidoris, he's locked out of 2 Munkidori and a Screamtail, so his board is going to be pretty rough for this game. And then I get bailed out, Riley draws, he's looking at his cards, he's kind of shaking his head, and I know there's an Iono there, and then he plays the Iono, and he gets me back in the game, and so I'm feeling so happy. I'm like, all right, I get to actually... I don't get run over here. I get to get back into it, and yeah. So I'm just feeling good because I know that Riley's board is really bad, and so even if I start a few prize cards down with my Jellicent, my TM Devolution, I can come back and win this game.
It really didn't seem like you wanted to play that Iono there, right?
Yeah, I definitely didn't. I mean, look at that board. Clearly not doing anything with that. But after benching the Mew, I just felt pressured to get a bit more aggressive and not wait till Isaiah draws out of it, because it might take me a long time to draw a good card as well. Here, I only have 1 bench space left. I definitely have to work very hard at conserving that bench space.
It looked like you were thinking about the Screamtail right there.
Yeah, I think that's actually the correct thing to bench here. We'll see if I end up benching that later in the game.
Yeah, I think so too. If Riley doesn't bench a Screamtail here, then it basically just gives me this license to do like whatever I want. Because Riley's going to be ahead, he's not going to have Counter Catcher, and so he can get 2 Munkidori down, but I can get 3 down, meaning that I go positive on Munkidori damage, and he's shaking his head. He's like, oh, what do I bench? What do I bench?
Yeah, exactly. If I set up the Screamtail, I can keep going after Isaiah's Munkidori, so
Yeah.
even if I only have 1, I can make sure that he never gets more than 1 out as well.
Yeah, or like maybe you can get 2, but like you can at least keep me from doing too much with the Munkidori.
Yeah,
So
like I should be fine just because my setup was a little faster.
yeah.
You do decide to go with the aggressive play here, though. You get the KO with the Munkidori, heal the 10 as well. And then now, Isaiah, are you feeling any sort of pressure at this point after Riley strikes first?
A little bit of pressure for sure, but at this point I'm not too concerned with what Riley's doing. I mean, obviously, I'm happy Riley's board has a bunch of these like cluttered cards on it. I talked about how the Fluttermane is annoying for me, but in this case, I'm happy to see it on the board because it's really making Riley's board pretty bad. But the thing is, I need to get a setup to be able to compete in this game. And so, while Riley's board isn't great, if I don't get anything set up, then I'm not going to do anything at all. And my hand here isn't great either. I think I have an Attach and an Iono. I basically drew like 6 terrible cards. And I have a Nest Ball here, but I prize Fezandipity, which we were talking about how good Fezandipity is in the matchup. I like pretty much always bench Fezandipity in Mirror. Like,
yeah.
Mirror, like, obviously at the end of the game, Fezandipity can be a little bit annoying because your opponent can knock it out, take 2 prize cards, close the game out. But it usually doesn't get there without someone missing a piece, right?
Exactly.
And so you want the Fezandipity to make sure you're not the one that misses a piece.
It's also a lot better to bench Fezandipity if you're behind on prize cards, because if you're ahead,
Yeah.
You can like counter catcher it up, Screamtail around it, and then it prevents you from attaching to Munkidori. But because Isaiah's behind in prize cards,
Yeah.
there's like basically no way I can punish him benching it.
And here I get a pretty good final 3 cards with my Iono. I got the TM Evolution, Researching Curlia, I think were the last 3 cards I drew. So I'm gonna be in this game. I'm gonna get a Gardevoir out, I'm gonna get a Jellicent out, and I'm gonna be able to compete. If I missed here, if I didn't get this Curlia Evolution, it would have been pretty rough. So I have to bench a second Ralts, which makes my board a little bit awkward. I don't really want to do that. And then once I bench the second Ralts, Riley probably just ignores my Ralts and goes after my Frillish. And then I have this second Ralt stuck on my board forever. So it was really nice I was able to get this Curlia Evo into Gardevoir. Maybe a little bit of a trying to make up for my luck in the early game by getting a Gardevoir out this turn.
Yeah, you do have that Frillish active with the Oceanic Gloom. Its attack is obviously very strong, locking your opponent out of item cards. Was that ever a consideration, or was your own setup just so much more important?
It's a consideration, but at this point, I mean, even if I item lock Riley has the knockout on my Curlia on board. He can Artisan for the Screamtail, retreat, move 10 with Monkey Dory, and then he has the 80 damage on Screamtail with the 2 Psychic Energy. So I could Oceanic Gloom. If I didn't get the Evo, I would have Oceanic Gloom. That's why I put the Psychic on there before the Iono. But because I did hit the Evo, I'm just going to go ahead, establish my setup here. I benched this Frillish. I thought for a while about if this Frillish bench was good. I think it was good. It ended up making, like, I needed 1 less Ultra Ball to set up because, I mean, my hand was pretty bad at this point. I had to research, but not much else. I really didn't have anything going, and so any little piece of setup that I could make myself not need to draw, like this Jellicent that I Evo for, was definitely better for me.
What were your emotions, Riley, seeing Jellicent come into play?
Yeah, I was definitely a little scared of it. I mean, I think every Pokemon player gets a little bit nervous when they see a card that just item locks you purely from being in the active. As you can see, I'm using Arven here, and I take my most powerful item in the deck. That kind of just shows that I want to get it done and used already before Isaiah promotes his Jellicent, and it's useless from that point on.
Yeah, so as Isaiah is getting established, you were the one who struck first. You had a little bit more aggressive of a start. Were you in this moment feeling like your board was weaker, though, like Isaiah's pointed out?
Yeah, I definitely was. And as long as there's room for a Screamtail, I think the position is still fine, though. Just because I'm 2 prizes ahead, and I have at least 3 ways of recovering my Screamtail and attacking with it again. Now 2, it looks like. That's great.
Night Stretcher going down from the discard there, so that's less options to get back to Screamtail. But whenever you got to discard 3 cards to play that Secret Box, it's obviously such a powerful card, but sometimes you do have to give up something you'd like to hang on to, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think we'll see in a second. Riley ends up benching the second Monkey Dory as his last bench spot. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened if Riley had gone for the Screamtail, because I think it still would have been a similar situation to how the game played out. Riley just has so much less Monkey Doors if he only has 1. And then whenever I'm able to get an advantage, I can counter catch or smack this Gardevoir. It takes like so long for Riley to Monkey Dory out of range. And so he would have been able to keep me from getting Monkey Dories, but I think I still might have been able to pull off a Devo. I don't know. It would have been interesting for sure. Would have obviously played out differently, but we're not going to get that game. So we'll see Riley go for the second Monkey Dory here, and then we'll see when I think you go for the Monkey Dory this turn, right? Because you get double Monkey Dory, double Dark.
And I think I actually had Rare Candy Gardevoir as an option this turn. And I think it's really good that I go for the evolution on the Curly instead, just because if it gets devolved back down to a Ralts under item lock, there's no way to get it up again. So I do really like this play.
But yeah, you match, Isaiah's board setup with your own, right? You've got your Gardevoir in play already, we're able to use it, but why was using the evolution here so much more important?
Isaiah's deck just revolves around devolving my Gardevoirs. And it's a lot stronger to devolve Gardevoirs if they go down to Ralts instead of going down to Curlia. If they go down to Curlia, they basically need to get KO'd that turn, otherwise they'll just evolve back up to Gardevoir. But if they go down to Ralts, then I can't evolve them immediately. If I'm under item lock, then there's actually no way to evolve them back to Gardevoir that turn, and he can deal with them the turn after that. So just establishing 2 Gardevoirs means that he needs to deal a lot more damage to my board before I can go for a TM Devolution play, and I think that's really important.
Isaiah here, you kicked it off with the Research. Got a couple Psychic Energy cards in the discard pile. That's one of the most important things for the Gardevoir deck, is getting those Psychic Energies down. Now, talk me through kind of your thoughts as Riley went for a slower setup turn last turn. Would you have been concerned if he had gone for a knockout, or were you feeling comfortable kind of regardless of what Riley went for?
Yeah, I felt better when Riley went for this than if Riley had gone for a knockout, probably. It was pretty close, but at this point I know, especially whenever the second Monkey Dory comes down, that there is a sort of inevitability of my Jellicent Devo play. Like, the Jellicent Devo play is going to happen. It's looming in the future. I always will be able to build towards that eventually. And so whenever Riley goes for the evolution, he probably needs to do it to get this Curlian play, but at the same time, it gives me a little bit of a breathing room, a little bit of time to chill, get another Dark down. Actually make a mistake here. I just attacked with Frillish. I was pretty nervous in this moment, like we talked about earlier. I was trying not to forget anything, but I should have moved this damage off Frillish, or I could have put an energy on Jellicent and moved the damage off Jellicent, but I think I should have just moved it off Frillish. This allows Riley to basically get a free prize card, so like the game lasts one less turn for me, and that's the exact opposite of what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to make the game last as long as possible because I know that Riley only has one option, hit into my active, and I have a lot of options. I can go kind of wherever I want. So not moving this 20 off allows Riley to move 60 over to it, take a knockout, and then also get a Miracle Force knockout. So makes the game a lot closer than it otherwise would have been.
Now, Riley, you also played the Technical Machine Devolution, and Isaiah's playing really hard to it. He's made it a huge part of his game plan here for this game. Is it something you're able to ever utilize in this matchup?
It's a little weaker than it would be in Isaiah's deck, just because when he does it, he can do it with Jellicent in the active, and that prevents me or like whichever other Gardevoir player he's playing against from reestablishing their Gardevoirs if they're like used as a Ralts, or if he KOs like all of my Gardevoirs while using that play. It's basically impossible to set them back up in the future.
Now, this turn, I just want to real quick say, feels like a really big turn. You take a mid-turn KO, KOing the Frillish, take a prize, and get a knockout on his active. You jump ahead 3 to 6 prize cards. Were you feeling in the lead right now?
No, not really, just because there's so little that I can actually control at this game from now on. Even if I attack into this Jellicent for 250, that's the maximum I can do here, then he can still save it just because I only have 2 Monkey Dories maximum from now on. And yeah, as he said, the Devo play basically feels inevitable at this point, and there's not much I can do to stop that. If I had a bench space for Screamtail instead of Monkey Dory, I would have felt a lot better in this position, just because I can target his Monkey Dories in that case, and here I definitely cannot.
So it feels like you both agree, even though Riley's ahead on prize cards, Isaiah's the one who's playing towards a stronger end game. Isaiah, moving forward with confidence here, what had you concerned about not being able to pull that play off? What were the ways that were going to prevent you from inevitably closing out this game?
Well, one thing is, on the previous turn, I was a little bit worried that Riley chose to take an extra prize card, which I think was pretty good. Another play he could have done was he could have moved 60 to my Jellicent and then taken the knockout on my Frillish, just with the Miracle Force. So he only gets 1 prize card, but then he leaves damage on my Jellicent, which means that I can't heal off of it the entire way from Monkey Dory. So he could have gotten the one-shot on Jellicent. So I was maybe a little bit worried about that. Then he would have had 1 less prize card, but my Jellicent would have lived for 1 less turn, so might have been interesting. But at this point, really all that I'm worried about is, can I find this 3rd Darkness Energy next turn or in the future? It doesn't need to be next turn, but can I find the 3rd Dark at some point? Because you'll see me go for the Power Press here, move 60, do 80 to him. My Jellicent, it can only take 190 from Gardevoir plus 2 Monkey Dories is 250. And the 3rd Monkey Dory is going to get a Dark Energy whenever I can find it. So if I can find this Dark Energy, and if I can find the Technical Machine Devolution, I'm feeling pretty good, but I just got to kind of build towards that in a few turns.
We're getting towards sort of a middle point of the game here. Do you remember kind of your thoughts at this point, each of you? Was there anything that you were in the moment wishing you had done differently at this point in the game?
Yeah, for me it's just manage my bench a little bit differently. I know I felt pressured to go for the Mew really early on, but Isaiah's board was really weak, so maybe I could have just hoped that I drew out sooner and gone for more plays like that instead of aggressively benching the Mew. The Monkey Dory also probably did not need to be benched, so I feel a little bad about that. But I could definitely take both of those into the next game. This is only game 1, so I'm not feeling that bad.
Yeah, I think that I'm really wishing, I mentioned on the previous turn how I could have moved damage off my Frillish. Even if I didn't do that, I could have put 1 energy on my Jellicent, and then I could have moved damage off of my Jellicent. And if I did that, then I could have 4 energy on my Jellicent here. And then I'd be hitting for 160, which is a lot better than 80, obviously. It sets up for Devolution a lot easier. So I could have more damage on this Gardevoir. It was just, I completely missed at the previous turn. So I was pretty upset about that. But, I'm still feeling like in an okay spot. If my deck functions like I want it to the next few turns, I'll be in a good situation.
Did you feel that mistake in the moment that I should have done this?
I knew it as soon as I used Frillish. I realized oh my gosh, I didn't use my Monkey Dory this turn. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you had an extra energy, I think you could pull off the Devo play next turn, right?
Yeah, I could Devo your bench Gardevoir to a Monkey Dark, yeah. So, and then I could like have Jellicent active, and then you have more prize cards remaining, so it would be a lot more comfortable of a situation.
How do you move on in a game whenever you realize you've made a mistake a turn earlier?
I mean, you just have to focus on the next play, right? I mean, like if you make a mistake and then that mistake like makes you frustrated, and then you make another mistake, I mean, you can't let that happen. Like you cannot let your mistakes lead to more mistakes. You have to just realize your misplays and then, you know, just move on. Like you're in the spot that you're in now. What happens before is almost irrelevant. Is kind of how I like to think of it. Often I'll be like frustrated in the moment, but I really just have to put it out of my mind, make the best play, and then after I make the best play, whenever it's my opponent's turn, I'll be like, oh my gosh, well, I could be in such a better spot here. But I'll do that when I have time on my opponent's turn.
Just to build on what Isaiah said, it is really easy when you make one mistake to just go off and make a ton of more mistakes. I think one of the things that really helped me become a better player was not getting into like this tilted mindset where you make one mistake and then you make a ton more after that. I think I really got better at that before an AIC, and that's what helped me become a good player. So I'd just like to add that to what you said earlier.
Riley's going for the 190 hit on the Jellicent. One thing that's interesting here is Riley moves 60 to my Gardevoir, kind of setting up for a Devolution play. My Oceanic Curse on Jellicent is turning off Riley's Devolution. It's a tool card, but he can reach a Flutter Mane, he can get access to that, so it's really important. You're going to see me move 60 off my bench Gardevoir this turn, and this all comes back to, I decided not to bench a Ralts earlier in the game. I chose to keep my bench open, go for like the double Frillish, and that's because I knew that I would always be able to heal off any damage he put over, and so my Gardevoir was never going to be in range of Team Devolution if I didn't want it to be.
Yeah, I knew that Isaiah definitely could move all the damage back, and I figured that he probably would in this scenario. But I'm really far behind here, even though it looks like I'm winning, and I need him to make a mistake. So I felt very pressured to go for that, and I still think it's correct just because there was nothing better to do here.
I end up getting the Vessel off the Iono, which is huge. I can discard this Artisan. I can't play it the rest of the game, and then get my third Dark in play. And with this third Dark, now I've kind of got the whole setup that I want. I don't get the Devolution this turn. There's only 80 on the active Gardevoir, and I didn't draw it anyways. But if I can find it next turn, I think I only had a Devolution in deck, but I had something like a Research and an Iono left, maybe 2 Ionos, so I had a lot of good cards in my deck. I had the Arven in hand if Riley didn't Iono me, so at this point, I'm just kind of thinking through, okay, I have this Devolution play, how can I possibly lose? Like, how could Riley possibly get himself into a good position? And that's just what I'm thinking this whole turn here.
Riley, what were the ways you were thinking of getting yourself into a good position here?
From here, it's definitely not a good position. I was struggling to find a way to win, actually. Looking back on it, I think the correct play would have been to retreat into the Mew EX and then just copy Isaiah's active attack. And then from there, even if he goes for the Technical Machine Devolution, there's a chance that Mew can take a KO, or it can attack into an evolved Pokemon like Gardevoir, and then I can maybe win with Technical Machine Devolution from there. So that's what I would have done in this scenario. I think that I just end up going for the KO here, and that's a lot weaker just because it doesn't leave any of the Pokemon on my field powered up. Or maybe I KO with the Flutter Mane, but that still does a lot less. Yeah, I KO with the Flutter Mane, but that does a lot less damage. It does 90, and that can all be moved back with Isaiah's Adrenabrains.
Yeah, and Isaiah's here in the midst of using these Adrenabrains, and healing this Gardevoir specifically is really what's important for you, right, Isaiah? If this Gardevoir even had 30 damage left on it, it would actually open up a Devolution play for Riley.
Right, yeah, and I can't have that. I need to prevent that from happening, and so we're just going to move all the damage from the Gardevoir, put a 4th energy in the Jellicent, and then finally get that 160 swing that I could have done last turn, but you know I was missing the energy for.
You've both played plenty of Gardevoir now at this point in the Pokemon TCG format. Is there really anything that feels much better than a Gardevoir board with 3 Monkey Dory, 3 Darkness Energy?
No, not really.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, like, especially with the Jellicent and the active, it's just like so strong. Your opponent's so limited. I mean, yeah, once you get the 3 Monkey Dories involved, you got too many options.
Especially if you get it early on, like 3 energies on 3 Monkey Dories, along with several Psychic energies in discard. There's just no way to beat that. It doesn't really matter what deck your opponent's playing, unless it's like Zoroark or something like that.
Maybe Goldengo, if they have a fast enough start, they can get you. But
I don't know.
Yeah.
If there's 3 Monkey Dories, that's going to be pretty hard for them to win.
That's a lot of diva pressure, yeah.
So here there's so much damage in play on your side, Riley. And you've got a couple Monkey Dories, but Isaiah's actually not been taking any KOs, right? And keeping your board the way it is, with only access to 2 Adrenabrains here, What were your kind of thoughts here off this Iona? What were you looking for? What did you hope to find?
It was less about what I was looking to find and more just about disrupting Isaiah. Here, if Isaiah gets the TM Devo off, there's no way that I ever win the game, especially because I didn't go for the Mew play that I should have. So it's, yeah, at this point, I feel like my board is developed to the best that's ever going to be, and I'm just hoping that Isaiah doesn't get the play that he's going for, either because the technical machine devolution is prized or just because he can't find it.
And you are able to take a 2-prize KO here now on this Jellicent. You're going to go down to just one single prize. So close to winning the game. But even in this moment, did you just felt like it wasn't going to happen, huh?
Yeah. I mean, there's only one prize left, but it's very hard to get one prize when you don't have any Gardevoirs in play. Like, that's how this deck attacks, and it looks like they're both going to get eliminated this turn.
Was there anything you could have done, like, with your Gardevoirs at this point to, like, load energies into play, to play around them, getting devolved, you know, get some energies into play on the Mew or something like that, or does that just not lead anywhere?
Yeah, the Mew play, that's what I was talking about earlier. I think I should have attached 3 energies to the Mew, and then even if he goes for Technical Machine Devolution with Gardevoir, I can swing into that and then hopefully go for Technical Machine Devolution myself on the following turn. I still think Isaiah could have played around that if he KO'd my Fluttermane with a Jellicent, but it would have at least forced him to find a lot more.
Yeah, or like maybe I could have at least like gone Iona to 1, knock out the Mew the following turn, and then like Riley has to hit the Devolution if I can't like heal enough damage off my Gardevoir. So yeah, there were like, it would have been interesting for sure. That definitely would have been a good play. Here I'm gonna load up damage. We were talking in a previous conversation about how Riley promoted the Fluttermane, because if I promoted Gardevoir, then Riley would have maybe won on the spot because I couldn't use my Gardevoir ability under Fluttermane. But
yeah, of course that midnight fluttering ability of Fluttermane says that your opponent's active Pokemon cannot use their abilities. So if you push that Gardevoir up, which most often Gardevoir players do choose to do because you get those extra damage counters on it, that actually would have gotten your Gardevoir stuck.
Yeah, maybe I just went off a little bit of bad muscle memory right there. But that didn't happen.
I'm definitely thinking here about maybe the Fluttermane's going to stay in the active, and if so, do I need to load an extra energy on this Gardevoir? So I think I do load 1 more energy on my Gardevoir. All I need to do this turn is I need to move 90 damage over to Riley's board, and once I do that, then there's going to be no more Gardevoirs in play, and I'm going to be in the driver's seat to close out this game. So I'm gonna get a pretty cool looking 6-1 prize comeback, but it looks a lot cooler whenever you think 6-1 than whenever you look at the board state.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 6-1 sounds great, but it seems like you both are kind of in agreement that this was more than likely how this game was going to play out based on those early turns, right?
Yeah, for sure. Just Technical Machine Devolution. Decks with that game plan don't need to go up in the prize trade to win, and we see that here.
And you played really hard to it throughout the entire game, Isaiah, as well.
Yeah, I saw that as my line, and it's going to end up working out here. One thing that I thought a lot about is whether to move this 20 damage off my active. I know I'm going to move 30 from Monkey Dory to the Gardevoir. I know I'm going to move 30 from the active Gardevoir to the Gardevoir. The question is, do I move this 20? I end up moving it. Whenever you're in this moment, you are just trying to think of any way you can lose the game, right? Because you look like I'm in a very, very favorable spot. I know exactly what I need to do to win, but I'm trying to think, is there any way that Riley can win? And this 20 damage has some benefits for me. If I leave it on the board, I can move it with Monkey Dory. It's a lot easier for me to knock out a Ralts with my Monkey Dory damage next turn, which means that if Riley benches 2 Ralts, then I can go counter catcher, knock out double Ralts. But if I leave the 20 on, maybe there's some way that Riley can pull off an attack that puts on a lot of pressure, and then maybe I can't Monkey Dory enough damage. And so I wasn't really sure, so I was just kind of scared of maybe missing something, and so I was just trying to play around something that I had forgotten, and that's why I went with moving the 20 damage off here. But that's just an interesting part of the game, is like whenever you're in these scenarios where you're really far ahead, you know, you're worried you forgot something, how can you best play towards, you know, playing around something you might have forgotten.
Now, Riley, even though you've gotten both your Gardevoirs removed, you're sticking it out here. Is there some sort of line that you're trying to piece together that can lead to you finding a way to take that last prize?
Yeah, if I can get another Gardevoir out, then there's definitely a chance I can take the last prize. I would probably need to take it with Screamtail just because Isaiah currently has Gardevoir in the active, and I don't have a way of one-hit KOing that. Looking back on it, it might have been correct just to pick it up and go to the next game here, because it's very hard to establish anything when I'm at 1 prize card and I can get Iono to 1 at basically any time, and I'm already down a lot of resources as well. So I do decide to stick it out here for a little bit, but looking back on it, I don't think that's correct.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you were set up to respond to the things Riley could potentially do in this spot?
Yeah, I think so. I was a little bit worried about not having enough damage. I think I would have had it, but it would have been pretty close. If I did that, it would have been hard for me to knock out double Ralts in the next turn. There were some things that I was worried about, but I felt pretty set up. I knew that I could go for a Clefairy play, which I think you'll see me kind of hover over in this next turn. I can retreat to Clefairy, and then that allows me to move damage across the board, because I can retreat my Gardevoir, give me 2 more Psychic Energies. You know, the more Psychic Energies you have in discard, the more you can embrace, the more damage you can get on board.
You would have 4 from there?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I would have 4, yeah. But then I don't think I'd have enough to knock out double Ralts the next turn.
Yeah, I doubt I could have gotten double Ralts out twice.
Yeah,
It's just very, very difficult from there.
And that Night Stretcher we saw go down early in the
Yeah,
game.
exactly. Night Stretcher went
Secret
down.
box, yeah.
And definitely a lot of things from this game that I could learn from and take into the next game.
Yeah, maybe you'll be able to move on from this point and have a deep run in this tournament. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's looking tough.
Feel
from
pretty
here.
good about that one.
For the uninitiated, Riley won this tournament.
I did not do very well, but Riley won this tournament, which is super sick to see. So here, one thing that I thought was interesting was I was really happy that Riley moved over the damage from the Fluttermane. It just gave me more damage to Monkey Dory back over to his side of the board. I would have had to play like a little bit awkwardly if I didn't have this 40 damage. It would have been fine, but yeah, end up scooping the game up, and we're going to a game 2 here. So yeah, a long game 1. I'm feeling pretty good at this point. I came back from a pretty rough start, and I knew that, you know, I had a line. It was like kind of complicated. You're always worried you're gonna mess up these endgame scenarios, but I was able to get it done. So just feeling relieved about that, and then hoping I can close out this game and get to a 2-0 record.
Riley, you just took a rough loss there, a really long game number 1. You shuffled very, very quickly. You're like ready to go. Talk me through your emotions and thoughts.
Well, I'm feeling very rushed here. I scooped a little later than I probably should have. I think as soon as I saw the Technical Machine Devolution come down, I should have just picked up my cards and gone into a game where I would have a better shot of winning. But here I'm not going to give up. I'm going to try and win this game and maybe take us to a tie, and you can see that in how fast I've set up.
Yeah, you were ready to go for sure.
I think it was the fastest I've seen anyone ever shuffle their deck. He's like, I like picked up my cards, and then it seemed like you did like 1, 2, and I was there.
I don't riffle my deck, and I think that makes me shuffle a lot faster than other players would.
Mm-hmm.
So here, Riley, you're going to get the option to choose to go first or second. I imagine second is going to be your choice, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. It's so crucial to get the Technical Machine Evolution here. And especially in this scenario where Isaiah could possibly stall a couple turns if he Technical Machine Devolutions my Gardevoir down to a Ralts, and then I can't attack, that would probably result in this game not finishing, so I got to avoid that at all costs.
Well, now, Isaiah, you now on your first turn here know a lot more about Riley's deck. You know what he's got available. You don't know about the Technical Machine Devolution necessarily. Not sure that it would ever necessarily come up. But based on what you've seen from what Riley has, what are your early turns here going to look like?
My early turns are kind of going to be the same thing. One thing that is really interesting in this matchup is you do still want to go for the Jellicent early, or even just the Frillish. Item locking can be really strong against Gardevoir in general. It makes it harder to find Monkey Dory and a bunch of Darkness energies. So I'm going to try to get some sort of item luck established. One thing that's also really good for me is if I can get the Jellicent in the active spot, then I force Riley to go into the Fluttermane to get items back. And so then it clogs up his bench, as we saw in the first game, and I can kind of take advantage of that. So I'm just trying to set up Ralts, set up Jellicent, get a board going, and then find if there's any weakness in Riley's setup that I can exploit.
And right away, Riley, you're off to the races here. In game number 2 of this best of 3. Arvin for your secret box. Always feels really nice to see an out to secret box in your opening hand, yeah?
Oh yeah, it's amazing to see that. A lot of the times, if you have the Arvin to search out the secret box, that's what you end up going for. Especially if you don't have another supporter to use the next turn. Secret box just getting you an extra draw support can be really crucial to just keep your setup going in the following turns. Especially since here I need to win kind of fast. So that's definitely beneficial. I need to attack next turn, and you can see me get the research because of that.
Yeah, does the 16 minutes remaining in the round affect how you're going to play this?
Yeah, you'll probably see a couple questionable decisions that are just made because I'm playing really fast. And here, it's more important to play fast than it is to play properly, just because if I don't finish, then it doesn't matter how good my board state is.
And I think you evo the top 2 cards. Bang!
Yeah.
Oh, just the top one.
Oh, did I prize the other one?
I think it's in your hand, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, has it in hand. Can only use that Technical Machine Evolution to pull cards from the deck. But yeah, see there are your prize cards. You prize that Mew this game, so you don't got to worry about that coming into play.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about that. But the Screamtail being in the bottom is pretty bad. I mean, luckily it's at the bottom and not the top, but that's one of the crucial cards in this matchup, just to eliminate Isaiah's Monkey Dories. So I definitely don't like to see that. Also, if it was at the top and I needed like 1 KO to take the game, that would be really unfortunate, because I can't easily KO Gardevoir EX.
So Isaiah, here, you're about to play an Ino, I believe. You choose to attach this Psychic Energy to Monkey Dory before you play your supporter. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I was really debating whether to attach this energy. It allows me to get my Monkey Dory back to the bench. So if I miss Technical Machine Evolution, which you can see I hit there, or if I miss a Darkness Energy, like if I miss... Basically, I can retreat my Monkey Dory to the bench so that it's in less threat here. It forces Riley to bench the Screamtail early on. Might make his board a little bit clogged if I can get the Jellicent active the next turn. So I just wanted to be able to maybe save my Monkey Dory here. I end up really getting punished because I draw into not only Technical Machine Evolution, but I also draw into a Vessel, Earthen Vessel. So I could have gotten a second Monkey Dory with a second Dark and used Evolution on my bench Pokemon. So I end up getting punished here, but I was really worried about not being able to get a Monkey Dory with the Dark at all if I had to like retreat this for some reason. But maybe I should have held it. One play that could have been okay, even if I missed Evolution, I could have maybe retreated this Jellicent, and then like I talked about, I could have used the Oceanic Gloom to try and stall Riley out if I just got a Psychic Energy. So I could have made it a little bit harder for Riley to set up if I had drawn poorly. So maybe it was better to hold this Psychic, but I was really just trying to make sure that I could at least save this Monkey Dory if nothing else happened.
And Riley, you see that Isaiah was able to find Technical Machine Evolution off of his INO. Pretty strong for him. What were your thoughts seeing those powerful Pokemon EX come into play?
To be honest here, I'm not looking at Isaiah's board too strongly. I'm just focused on taking KOs myself and doing that quick. However, you can see that Isaiah's only Dark Energy is on his active Monkey Dory, and I like that a lot. Just because the goal here is to eliminate those as fast as possible. If he establishes a lot of Monkey Dories and then starts attacking with his 2 prizers, it becomes a lot harder for me to KO those. But if he attacks with a 2 prizer and I have more Monkey Dories than him, then I can potentially use Monkey Dory to KO that 2 prizer instead. So seeing that Dark Energy in the active, it means I'm going to be up 2 Dark Energies, and that's just so good for me.
So talk me through here, seeing this board state. You've got the Gardevoir, you've got the Kirlia. How much better do you feel about this position than where you were in the last game?
Yeah, I think the key piece is that there's a spare bench space right there. I mean, there's also no Mew. That is almost completely useless, so that's awesome to see as well.
Yeah, I think in that last game, did you use restart that 1 turn and that was it? Is that?
Yeah,
that was it,
probably. But yeah, you can see that I have room for Screamtail. I also have 2 Monkey Dories set up really quick, and he's going to have 0 here, so that feels really good as well. I just have a lot more resources this game, so even though I'm going up on prizes this game as well, but even though that didn't work last game, it may work here. Just because I also have more resources established here.
So tell me about attacking with the Fluttermane here. You could have attacked with your Gardevoir. That was an option. Why'd you go with the Fluttermane?
Well, they do something pretty similar. I mean, Fluttermane only does 90 to the active, but it does 110 damage total with the effect on the bench as well. Also, last game Isaiah was able to devolve both my Gardevoirs, so I'm very scared of attacking with a Gardevoir just because it leaves it in the active and then he can go after it and KO it, and it might be hard to reestablish a Gardevoir from there.
Yeah, here, Riley, it was interesting. Did you think about putting this damage on the Jellicent? It's kind of what we talked about last game. Now that I have, like, I can put up my Jellicent, attach 1 Dark to Monkey Dory, and then knock out your Fluttermane, and you don't have items, and my Jellicent only has 10 damage on it. So, I mean, you were obviously playing fast, but do you think you should have, like, split the damage? Maybe you only needed, like, I think you could on, like, 10-4, but that's, like, a worse split, obviously, but if you had any damage on Jellicent, then you would have been guaranteed to one-shot it next turn.
I do like that play. I was definitely thinking about the Monkey Dories as the main threat, though.
Yeah.
And I didn't see you play Bravery Charm last match, so I didn't know if that was going to be there. If Isaiah attaches a Bravery Charm to the Monkey Dory, then there's no way I can ever take a KO on it. But if he doesn't, then I can always just use 3 Adrenaline Brains and KO Monkey Dory right away. So that was the logic behind placing the damage there.
Yeah, and it's definitely possible. Like, you didn't see Bravery Charm. You saw most of his deck in the last game.
Yeah, and I think
I think it's reasonable to say, like, oh, he's got the new cards in his deck. Maybe that's one of the things he had to cut, right?
Yeah, a lot of Jellicents didn't play Bravery Charm before this tournament, I think. So I think they played like double TM Devolution instead of that. So
Yeah, and I know like some Gardevoir lists that opt for like a more like TM Devolution heavy approach end up cutting the Bravery Charm. I think there was like at least one list from Pittsburgh that did that. So like following that logic, it's possible that he didn't play it.
yeah, definitely.
So it may seem like a little bit of a similar situation to the last game. Riley strikes first. Isaiah's got your 2 powerful EX Pokemon, but why is this so different?
Well, I have 2 less Monkey Dory than I did in this position last game. I had like some Monkey Dory set up, and Riley has a bench spot for Screamtail or a third Monkey Dory, which is really the biggest thing. I mean, we can't talk about this bench space enough. It's just so impactful in this game. If I had like a Monkey Dory set up, I could maybe be in a better spot in this game. Like if I could get my second Monkey Dory online this turn, then I could like really start moving damage, pressure for TM Devolution maybe. But my hand is just not great. I don't have many options here, and I'm really down on Monkey Dory. So I still have like a strong shot to win this game if Riley does not get Monkey Dory Dark this turn. If he doesn't get the third Monkey Dory and the third Darkness Energy this turn, then my Jellicent's going to stay alive. He has no Flutter Mane, so he's under item lock, and then I can really start pressuring that TM Devolution.
Riley, of course, playing quickly here. Less than 9 minutes now remaining, and you still got 5 prize cards to take, which, you know, some of these Pokemon are worth 2 prize cards, but you don't always have the reach to take those 2 prize knockouts. Were you worried about the potential of this game not concluding?
From here, I'm actually feeling quite comfortable. You can see there's like over 8 minutes left. I'm going to take a KO right here, and from there there'll be 8 minutes, and in that time I basically just need to take 1 KO since I should be able to take 2 KOs once time gets called. So I was feeling a lot more worried at the start, but now that I've managed to take 3 prizes in under 10 minutes, I feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah, pretty fast start for Riley. Third Monkey Dory, third Darkness Energy, and...
On the 3rd turn, right?
Yeah, on the 3rd turn. And he got the evolution going for... he turn 1 Dark Evolution into Dark. And
that's what happens when you listen to Thick of It before the tournament.
I guess
right?
so. I guess I should have done that. I guess I should have locked in. But I'm definitely going to try to do my best here, but I'm in a pretty unfortunate spot. If I don't leave my Jellicent active, then I give Riley access to... I mean, he already has Artisan for the Monkey Dory, but then Riley can use Earthen Vessel, and he can, you know, I think he already used the Secret Box, so Earthen Vessel is the big one that he has left, but I really want to shut that off, so I'm going to try and go into Jellicent, hit the active for a good amount of damage, or I think I really want to find a counter catcher here to try and strand the bench Gardevoir. There's only 1 energy and discard for Riley, so if I could strand that bench Gardevoir in the active, and if Riley misses a turn, then maybe I can get like a 3rd Monkey Dory and 3rd Dark established, and then maybe I can set up for a Technical Machine Devolution, but that's really all that I can play towards here.
Yeah, and how impactful are those things you see in game 1? How much do they affect your decision making in the 2nd and 3rd games?
I mean, honestly, I don't feel like it impacts it that much. Like, it can, like, sometimes do it if there's really a card in my opponent's deck that changes it. But for the most part, lists are generally standardized going into the match, and so I feel like, you know, maybe my opponent plays the 3rd Boss's Orders or something that I'm not expecting, or an Iono and Goldengo, and so then I might play around with certain cards. But for the most part, I feel like the cards that I see in game 1 are usually pretty inconsequential. I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah, also Isaiah was talking game 1 about how he always tries to play around like these different ways to win that he can't see.
Yeah.
So I think he would have played around the 4th Dark even if he didn't know it was there, right?
Yeah.
Keeping every possibility open to be able to close out the game.
Yeah, whenever you have the luxury of playing around cards that might be in your opponent's deck, you should always do it. Sometimes you have to pick a card to lose to, like, oh, I can lose to either Counter Catcher or Darkness Energy, right? But whenever you can just, you know, make yourself not lose to something, then you might as well do it. Yeah, here I'm just going for putting all this damage on the Jellicent because I know that it doesn't matter. If Riley can move this Gardevoir, then he's going to have enough damage to triple Monkey Dory, knock out my Jellicent, and the game's going to be over. And so I'm just going to hit for 160 on the bench Gardevoir, put it out of range from triple Monkey Dory so I can always get the Devo playoff, I think, next turn, but unless I'm incorrect, I think I can get the Devo playoff next turn if you miss. But
yeah, you can if I miss.
Yeah,
I would have to miss, though.
Yeah, you would have to miss, and here we go.
Yeah, 240 HP remaining on that Jellicent.
Yeah.
And now Riley ready to kick his turn off with Artisan. So what are the things that you are trying to ensure to close this game out, Riley?
From here, I just want to make sure that Isaiah can't remove both of my Gardevoirs with a TM Devo play. Usually to do that, he would require 3 Monkey Dories. Since Curly has 90 HP and 3 is required to move 90 damage, there's already 180 damage on the other Gardevoir, so that's pretty hard to keep that safe at this point. But here I can just use Screamtail, I can KO one of his bench Monkey Dories, and then from there he can never get 3 out. So I'm feeling quite safe after taking the Screamtail off of those prizes that turn.
Does it feel fitting that the player who got 3 Monkey Dory and 3 Darkness Energy into play won both of these games?
I guess so. I mean, it's pretty hard to beat 3 Monkey Dory, 3 Darkness Energy early on in the game in Gardevoir Mirror. Whenever both players get a lot of Monkey Dories, it can get interesting. But yeah, this one definitely pretty tough for me. Riley got the Screamtail, knocked out my Monkey Dory, and so now I the only option I have is to counter capture this Gardevoir and then pray that I can take the knockout on it. We talked about earlier, I prized Fezandipity the first game, I prized it again this game, which has really made it harder for me to hit my combo pieces. I think I forgot to ask Riley to shuffle, and I put my hand on the bottom of my deck.
Fine.
But yeah, I'm not going to have Fezandipity here, which, I mean, you can see, I probably would have drawn 9 extra cards of Fezandipity this game. I have so many open bench slots, so it really could help me this game. But looks like we're just going to have to go for a counter catcher and pray on the Gardevoir. There was also a chance if I had drawn better, I could have gone like Monkey Dory, knock out the Screamtail, and then counter catcher, knock out one of Riley's Monkey Dories. That was like an ideal play for me probably. Fluttermane's already down, and so Riley can't get back the Screamtail then, and so he would just have to attack into my active. Maybe I could have made a play happen from there, but I did not draw that. I only drew counter catcher, and so yeah, I'm gonna have to take care or hope this Gardevoir can't move. And then if it can't move, maybe I can get the Devo play off, but I'm not feeling too strong.
Yeah, and we did see Riley on his 2 cards from INO. You were, I imagine, pretty excited to see one of those being an energy card, right?
Yeah, and the other one is research. Always
as soon as he plays the counter catcher, you immediately move the psychic energy to the top of your discard pile as well. So you were ready to go.
Yeah. From there, I'm very much ready to close the game out at this point. As soon as Isaiah announces his attack, I'm immediately going to show him the psychic energy and just show him that the game is over at that point.
And with just 2 minutes remaining here, as Riley is about to close out this second game with the flash of the psychic energy, it feels most likely like this game is going to end in a tie, but there's always a world where someone could come out on top. What were you kind of thinking here coming out of game number 2, hoping for a chance to win a quick game number 3?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm not thinking so much as like about the game number 3. Like, obviously, I want to win the game number 3, but I mean, you've kind of accepted at this point that you're going to get tired of this, and so I'm really just thinking back over this last match. I'm like, okay, could I have done anything better? You know, how can I maybe play better in this situation in the future? I'm just kind of thinking about all that, trying to evaluate, because I'm going to choose first here. I'm going to hope that Riley has a slow start, and I can get a donk with a Jellicent early or something, but I know it's probably not going to happen, and so I'm just using this time to kind of reflect over the game, and then, you know, clear it from my mind for the rounds coming up.
Yeah. Riley, what were your kind of reactions after being able to close out a quick second game?
Yeah, I'm feeling very relieved from this point. After I lost the first game, there was only 19 minutes left, so I accepted that there was basically no way that I ever win the set unless Isaiah goes draw past 2 games in a row. So just managing to win that one game, it's only worth 1 match point at this point, but it almost feels like a win just because it was the best possible scenario for me.
Coming away with 1 match point, definitely better than coming away with nothing. And what did you feel like you learned from this set? You mentioned before things started off that you knew that Isaiah's friend group, you know, they were probably all playing similar deck, and you maybe would play them later in the tournament. What do you feel like you learned after seeing Isaiah's game?
Well, I learned a lot about just managing my bench. Early on, I felt very pressured to bench as much as I possibly could and just focus on a fast setup. But I think this set really taught me that it's more about like establishing your bench, keeping space open for Screamtail while also having multiple Monkey Dories set up. And if I have to play a little bit slower for that to happen, that's perfectly fine with me. Also, I can see that Isaiah's dedicated a little fewer slots to like the usual Jellicent Guardy cards, like at this time I think it was like Cleffa, Klefki, things like that. So that's good knowledge to take going forward, since a lot of other players will be playing decks similar to that. And 2 rounds later, I think I actually hit the same deck. So
you did, yeah.
This match definitely set me up for success there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, talk to me through like kind of what the conversation looked like here. Riley playing the Ultra Ball. Isaiah, you flash your Ultra Ball to Riley saying like, hey, look, we're both going to be able to get enough Pokemon in play. What were you guys talking about?
Oh yeah, I should Riley the Ultra Ball, and then Riley was really confused.
Yeah, I was. I didn't know what he was doing.
And I was like, oh, like we're going to have enough Pokemon where we're not going to finish the game.
I thought you were like, oh, I have the Ultra Ball, so I'm going to win this.
No, yeah. Just showing that we're going to tie, not going to have enough time to knock out all the Pokemon. We're not going to take 6 prize cards. And so just kind of, you know, we both understand how time works, how the game works, and that this one's going to end in a tie. And so just, you know, moving on, taking any little bit of time. Whenever you're on stream and you go to time, usually you have like no time before the next match starts, right? Because you're the last one to finish. And so just trying to take any little bit that we can to get out and relax and then, you know, set ourselves up for success going forward.
Well, after winning game 1, how are you feeling come away with a tie? I mean, Riley said that after losing game 1, he felt like it was a huge win to just come away with a tie. What was your emotion?
Yeah, whenever you win a long game 1 like that, you know that you're probably at worst getting a tie, and so it is like a pretty sad feeling. I'm trying to think back, you know, in the moment, it's really just trying to reflect over how the game went, but it is a little bit of frustration that, you know, I wasn't able to close out that game. I had a good game 1, couldn't close it out in game 2, so it's just, you know, you find your friends, you complain a little bit, and then you try to get it out of your mind and get ready for the next game.
What are the standout moments for you, Riley, from this match?
From this match, probably just getting Iono to 2 and drawing the 2 perfect cards in that scenario. Yeah, I mean, it's always nerve-wracking to get put to a really low hand size and put on a timer the way Isaiah did there. So being able to come out of that situation, close out the game, when even though game 1 looked really good for me at the start, it ended up going Isaiah's way. Being able to come back from that just feels really good, and I was very happy with the outcome from here.
Yeah, I think for me, a few moments, whenever Riley filled up his bench and I knew, like, okay, I have a chance to pull off a really cool play here. I think that was a standout moment. Being able to use the TM Devolution in game 1 to get the victory. And then in game 2, whenever Riley found that 3rd Monkey Dory Darkness Energy on turn 3, that's whenever I knew, like, oh, okay, I'm in a really bad spot here. So I think those are the moments that like stick out to me looking back on it.
Yeah, another one for me, when I took the Scream Tail off the prize, that was a really good feeling.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about it, but during the game, or after the game, Riley was like, oh, I took the Scream Tail off the prize cards, or I think you would have won. But in the moment, I thought like I was like gonna lose no matter what, because even if he didn't knock out one of my Monkey Dories, I would have needed to find Super Rod and a Vessel to get the Darkness Energy back, and I had Pheasantipity Prize and like no draw power in my hand, so I would have had to get really lucky to get it back. So I was sitting there thinking I was gonna lose no matter what, and Riley was sitting there thinking that he was gonna lose unless he drew Scream Tail.
Unless he takes the Scream Tail.
Yeah, but then he got the Scream Tail, so we didn't even get to that position.
Maybe it would have been interesting to see how that one would have played off. Well, that's now your 3rd tournament match that you guys have played against one another. Isaiah still got the wins over you, Riley. Are you coming for him in the next one?
Yeah, of course. He's taking a little break now. Maybe I'll be more experienced coming into the next tournament. So I'm definitely going to beat you the next time we play.
All right, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, it's always interesting to see how the trajectory plays out for these events after this match, because you guys had 2 pretty different tournaments after this 1-0-1 start for both of you, right?
Yeah, I finished 3-1, 3-2-2 or something.
Yeah, and I think I finished 12-1-2.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, Riley won 9 more matches than me throughout the tournament. So it definitely is interesting to look back, especially from my perspective, right? Like, to see that I mean, there's this intersection where we're playing like a similar deck. We're both, you know, good players, and then the tournament takes off for Riley, and I'm not able to do well. So a lot of things you can learn from every tournament, especially where you have like this very parallel example, right? Maybe, you know, I can look back at these matches and see, okay, what could I have done better? Was there something with my deck that could have gone better? But, you know, always a joy to be a part of a champion throughout to victory, so that's cool.
Yeah, of course, and I think it just shows that you can't do well at every single tournament, even if you're like the greatest player of all time. Isaiah, though, able to win NAIC and capitalize on that, so you definitely like to see him do that.
So moving forward, what's coming up for you guys? What are your kind of goals and aspirations moving forward in the game? You've both obviously accomplished so much. What are you hoping to make happen?
Well, for me, I've never even got top cut at a Masters Regional, so that's a major goal that I'd like to pursue this season. The next tournament that I'm playing in is Toronto, which is my hometown regional, so I'd love to defend my local area there. Not too much other than that. Maybe do well at the next Worlds. A back-to-back Worlds would be pretty cool, but that's very hard, so I'd be grateful for any good placement I could get at that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very happy to have gotten an international victory at NAIC, but would still love to get some more victories under my belt. I'd love to, you know, add a good placement at Worlds or continue some good placements at ICs. And so I think going forward, it's just playing the best Pokemon I can and hoping to build a good legacy and a good name off of that. So no, like, particular goals. I mean, like, there are some big dreams of, you know, like winning every IC and stuff like that, but really it's just going to be playing the best Pokemon that I can and seeing where that takes me.
Would you have any words of advice or wisdom you'd wish to impart on anyone watching after seeing this game?
Well, obviously Gardevoir is a good deck, and
It's a good one. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, if you want to succeed, play Gardevoir. I think that's pretty obvious from the past 2 tournament runs with Isaiah winning one of them with Gardevoir and me winning the other one. Also, just if you want to get good, try to master one deck and not worry about mastering a ton of different decks. Learning one deck to the best that you possibly can will always help more than just having a small bit of knowledge on a ton of different archetypes. So I think it's really important to really focus on what you want to be good at, and maybe don't try to be good at everything until you've really mastered the first thing.
All right, Isaiah, any words of wisdom, anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think something that I pick up from watching that game is that there's always things you can improve on in Pokemon. I mean, it is really so hard to play a perfect game, and even in games where you win or games where you lose, regardless of what it is, sure, you might get unlucky, right? There are places you can look back and you can see where you got unlucky, but there are also plenty of places where you could have played a little bit better, and maybe that would have changed the outcome of the game. And so I would really just encourage everyone who's trying to improve at the game to take time to find where in the game you might have made a mistake instead of just blaming everything on luck. I think that's really what separates someone who becomes a great player from someone who just, maybe stagnates in their game, is that those who stagnate in their game, they tend to always look at luck as the reason they lost, whereas players who want to become better, they say, okay, maybe I got unlucky, but even if I did get unlucky, where could I have played better? How could I have given myself a better chance to win? So that's something that I think of, us 2 great players here looking at how we could have played better in that match, something that people should do more often.
Yeah, I agree with that fully. And also, even if you see something that you could have done a little differently, don't beat yourself up over it.
Yeah, for sure.
There's always going to be mistakes you'll make, and that's just a fact of playing Pokemon. So you just have to keep moving forward and learn from what you did wrong, but don't fixate on it too much, and don't beat yourself up.
Yeah, you have to find a middle ground between not just brushing by mistakes, but then also not letting them stay with you forever. So that's something that every player has to learn.
Yeah,
as they get
exactly.
better. Yeah.
Do you ever get nervous before a match?
I get nervous before almost every match that I play. I think it's just natural that when you're competing, especially when there's money or a title or anything worth playing for on the line, the nerves just come out in those situations. So I think that's part of how my pregame rituals just help me. Doing those just puts me in the zone, and it takes my mind off my nerves. So I think it's really important to have things like that just help you ease your nerves and focus on what's important.
Yeah, I get incredibly nervous as well. I think I get really nervous before tournaments start, before round 1 pairings go up. I get nervous before each individual match. I think it's just it puts into perspective how much time I put into the tournaments and how much time great players put into tournaments outside of them. I can think back to all the testing that I've done, and all of it culminates in this one weekend. And if I don't do well this one weekend, all of that time was kind of put to waste. And so I'm just trying to really execute as well as I can in the moment, and that's a lot of pressure, and so I definitely feel the nerves.
How do you stay focused whenever a match isn't going your way?
Well, whenever you're playing, I think all your focus should be on the match, just because usually there's so much time that you've put in, even if it's not for this tournament, just time learning how to play the game, and all the time that you've played Pokemon. That should just motivate you to really focus on doing your best in every tournament. I wouldn't even need that. I always just want to win. So personally, I just always want to win, and because of that, I've never focused on anything else. It doesn't matter if I'm winning or losing. My only goal is just to put myself in the best possible scenario, given the cards that I have.
Yeah, I think following off what Riley said, the thing that I always think about is, it doesn't matter what position you're in the game, you just want to play the best that you can, right? Until you've lost the game, there's always some chance that you could come back. And so every turn, even if it looks like you're really down, just trying to find the lines you can take. And there can definitely be times where, I kind of zone out or I get frustrated. I've gotten frustrated and zoned out in really big moments before, and that's cost me some games. And so just trying to always stay focused and not let any frustration get to me. There's time for that after the game. You just got to play as well as you can for whatever the moment gives you.
How would you say your game strategies have evolved over the years?
Well, to start, when I was back in juniors, I didn't play proper decks. Now there's just so much knowledge about good decks. But I think one big thing is just the decks I play, I put a lot of prep into them before the tournament. And in previous years, I've maybe made some last-minute switches that made me a little uncomfortable with what I was playing. But just having a lot of time and experience on your deck, it's sometimes more important than actually having the best deck in the room. So I'd say that is one thing that's helped me get to another level.
I think one thing that's changed with my preparation is I think the better that the people around me are, the better that I've been able to prepare. And so just surrounding myself with players like myself who really want to do well and who play a lot of Pokemon has been really awesome for me. Just having people that I can talk to all day to bounce ideas off of. I think that's one change from when I started playing, and I think I learn, I get better every year at preparing, whether it's, the process that I go through or the decks that I think are good and that I spend time on. I improve a little bit every year. There's not like one thing that I can look back on to say that my preparation was better or worse, but I think the big thing that stands out to me is I do so much better whenever I have people around me that I can talk to.
What is a valuable lesson that you've learned from a tough loss or an iconic win?
I'd say the biggest lesson that I've just learned from Pokemon in general is that no matter what happens, you have to keep going and just try to win the next game, the next tournament, the next whatever you're doing. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't, but there's always next time. Well, usually there's next time anyway. So never get too down or focused on one tournament if maybe you have a rough loss or anything like that. Even if you take a tough loss in an early round at a tournament, I know both me and Isaiah, we lost an early game at NAIC and we're both in finals. So it just shows that even if things don't go your way immediately, just keep doing what you're doing. Eventually things will go right for you as long as you put in the time and the effort.
I think for me, a lesson that I've learned from some tough losses are just how I can deal with making a mistake or how I can deal with failure in these moments where I put a lot of time in and then I get to a big stage and I can't quite play as well as I would like to. I think I've just learned how to live with that, how to sit with that, and then accept that and move on to the next thing that I have. So that's one lesson. Another lesson that I think I've learned from some of my big wins is that you can really accomplish a lot whenever you try your best and whenever you dedicate yourself to something. I think that whenever I started playing Pokemon, I was just like this, 10-year-old kid who had no idea how the game worked. And now I spent a lot of time on it and I'm here and I've become fairly successful and done so many great things in the game, and it's given me so many opportunities. And so I think that Pokemon has really taught me that whenever I try my best at something that I can succeed, and that's a pretty awesome thing to know.
Is there one standout moment for you from that match we just watched?
From that match, just being able to win the second game. It looked really bleak after the first game just because my setup looked so much better than Isaiah's, and I still ended up losing. Well, not my setup, but I was ahead on prizes. To the average viewer and to many others, it would just look like there's absolutely no way for Isaiah to win, and it ended up going in his favor. So I think in matches like those, it's important, even if it looks bleak going to the second game, just do your best to win. Don't focus on what happened last time unless there's something you can learn from it. I think I really did learn from it, and I took those lessons into the second game and came out on top, so I'm really proud of that.
I think the standout moment for me was just being able to finish out that game one. I think it was a complicated end game, and I knew that I had a great route to win, and I could see it from a few turns away. But the standout moment was being able to finally close it out, making that comeback on the big stage, and just having the confidence to do that well.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a blast sitting in the studio going through this game with you. Really have enjoyed it very, very much. My name is Chip Richey, and thank you so much for watching Pokémon Champion Chat.
Interested in seeing more top trainers compete? Catch the competition on Pokemon.com/broadcasts and follow @PlayPokemon on social media for live coverage and major news on the Championship Series.